Hello and welcome to the Weekly Reel Podcast. My name is Ken,
And my name is Jeremy.
and this week, imagine all the people. Okay, that's as much singing and effort as I can give right now. I'm a little under the weather, but yes, today we will be talking about a feel-good movie called If, which stands for Imaginary Friends, which is directed and written by John Krasinski. And so, definitely want to thank those of you who are joining Jeremy and I on this week's live stream. I know it's a special Friday night live stream. We normally stream on Wednesday nights, but I was feeling a little under the weather. You can probably hear it in my voice right now. And my sickness affected me so much that I put out the countdown for Instagram for a 7:30 live stream, but I ended up typing 8 o'clock, and so we decided to split the difference, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, definitely. So we're meeting, quarter to 8.
Yeah. Don't you mean 7:45?
No, I mean quarter to 8.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's that's my brain fog
Yeah.
at work there. And we decided to kind of sneak in a Dumb and Dumber reference. Hopefully,
There
you
we
guys
go.
caught it. So, want to thank you all for joining us here on this week's live stream. And obviously, if you guys are checking us out on your favorite podcast app, welcome. Whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. But Jeremy, we do have a live stream audience, don't we?
Yes, because Ken mentioned all the other audio stuff, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Okay, Google Podcasts it doesn't exist anymore, but YouTube Music I think is still a thing. For now.
And
But if
Amazon.
you're and Amazon, there you go. If you are watching us live and in video right now, we are here. So if you're watching us on the show live, definitely interact with us throughout this live stream. We'll shout you out, interact with you. But if you're catching this not live, feel free to still comment down below, and we'll still talk with you for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. We would love to catch up with you. I know it's been 2 weeks since our last live stream. Actually, 2 weeks and 2 days now. Since we were thrown off by a couple of days. But today we do have a lot to cover, right, Jeremy?
Oh, for sure.
We do, and so let's go ahead and issue that spoiler warning. Right now, if you do not want to get spoiled on the movie that we're covering this week, If, which stands for Imaginary Friends or Friends.
I think friend,
I mean,
imaginary
there was a
friend.
lot. There was a lot.
There
So
was a
let's
many
just
of
go
them.
with Imaginary Friends. Uh, uh, Hop off. It's okay to go ahead and hit that pause button if you don't want to get spoiled. But when you do watch that movie in theaters, it is out now. Feel free to hop back in, join in the conversation, and feel free to comment even after the fact, after our live stream, because you know what, Jeremy and I, we have this thing called notifications on our mobile phones, and so we'll reply back whenever we see your comments. And so this week, we follow the journey of a young girl who mysteriously starts to see everyone's imaginary friends in a feel good, family friendly movie called If. It is starring Ryan Reynolds, Bailey Fleming, a plethora of A list voice actors, as well as it being written, directed, and starring John Krasinski. Again, If is out in theaters. Go watch it now. Support your local theater. We definitely don't want this experience to go away anytime soon, despite recent lackluster performances at the box office. I hate how everything's so expensive.
No, it's all good. And by the way, it's Kaylee Fleming. It's okay. Ken's sick, guys.
Oh,
So it's okay.
I got auto corrected. I put Kaylee, but it is. Dang it. Apple
It's all
got
good.
me.
Yeah, it's all good.
Kaylee Fleming. You're right. I have it on my IMDb. My bad. Sorry, Kaylee. If you happen to be listening.
Yeah, just like John Campia's listening as well.
Yeah. Oh man. I need to turn off autocorrect. What do you call it? Autocorrect on my notes app. Anyway, guys, we have this thing called the double feature to kick off our conversation about if. And so, just to remind everyone, for those of you joining the Weekly Reel podcast for the first time, I have a question. Jeremy doesn't know what I'm going to ask, and likewise, Jeremy has something for me. And so, for my half of the double feature, I want to kind of take you back, Jeremy, back to when you were a kid. And so, think about Jeremy from, I don't know, 5, 6 years old.
Okay.
Which if from this movie would have been yours and why? And here's a bonus question. Feel free to answer that question for Jeremy in 2024.
Oh shoot. Okay, let me think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
For
do you want me to kind of list through some of the
Oh no, I got
ifs?
it.
Oh, you got
I
them.
got,
Okay.
yeah, I just need to find. Okay, I got it. For myself, that was like maybe 5 or 6. For sure, it would be Lewis, the teddy bear, talking teddy bear thing.
Oh, Louis Gossett Jr.
Is it is that what it is?
Well,
yes,
the voice actor. Sorry.
The voice. Wait, Lewis is the bear too, right?
Yeah, Lewis is the bear.
Yes, and the actors also. I didn't know that until just now.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, I remember I had an imaginary friend that not really imaginary, but almost like I'm talking to an inanimate object of a stuffed little dog, and my dog, also my imaginary friend, was named Marky. So I felt like it was like, oh, out of all the ones that I related to the most was Lewis, because he was just like a big stuffed teddy bear, and then you could see it in that one dream sequence. Not, I guess, dream sequence with the Lewis's different stuffed teddy bears are like hanging in carnival. So that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and that was in Coney Island, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So dude, when when they showed Coney Island, and I was thinking about when we went to New York, I was like, oh dang, that could have been us, man. I mean, that was pretty much us walking around. It was all empty and crap. But instead we are more doing Mr. Robot instead.
Yeah, we didn't know that if existed yet,
Yeah.
because to let our viewing audience know and listeners know, me and Jeremy, along with other family, including Jeremy's brother, we were there last November in 2023, and so yeah, it was off season and Coney Island was essentially closed, but we got to kind of walk around along the beach and everything in New York, which was nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. For in regards to your second part of your question, so it's basically if I had an imaginary friend
Yeah,
now.
from your mindset now, if you had one.
Oh shoot!
Because I would imagine Jeremy of 5 or 6 years old is different from Jeremy of soon to be 28 years old.
Shoot, I would probably say, because it's weird. I definitely would not. That wouldn't that be weird if my imaginary friend was just Ryan Reynolds?
Whoa,
That's just weird, right? As a 20 soon to be 28-year-old, my imaginary friend.
Hey man,
another grown man.
Maybe in its clown form, it would be a little less icky.
That would just be weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Shoot.
Oh shoot.
You know, shoot.
Did you want me to go first while you think
Yeah,
about it? I mean, I
yeah,
could
go
do the
ahead.
kid one first, and then you could go with your
Is there
with yours.
that many?
If you go through the IMDb cast list, there's like
Yeah.
they're all listed basically as voice.
Okay. Because
While you're thinking about that,
sure.
I'll buy you a little bit of time. For me, when I was a kid, the one thing I really do remember very vividly, and I don't even know if they even had these while you were a kid. Do you recall this thing called encyclopedias?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
I just want to make sure because I know the internet was it already existed by the time you were in elementary school. But anyway,
Yeah, we still have to learn how to use an encyclopedia,
okay.
maybe in like second grade, but even at that point, they're on their way out, and we're using like super old editions at this elementary school that we both went
Right.
to in their
Right.
library. So yeah, they existed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But the encyclopedias, every encyclopedia that I found, I would always go and get the S. Or there was this space book that I would always want to read when I was in kindergarten. Like I would always gravitate towards it because one of my favorite things ever, and one of the things I really wanted to do, or be, I should say, is be an astronaut.
Mm,
And so if I had to answer my question in terms of, an imaginary friend as a kid, it would be Spaceman, who was voiced by George Clooney. Um, I didn't know who Spaceman was voiced, but I was like, man, he sounds kind of familiar.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, of course it's George Clooney. But yeah, I've always was into space. I don't know when that dream kind of just subsided, similar to like how some of these imaginary friends just kind of faded into the abyss
Hmm.
of Coney Island. But yeah, mine eventually just faded away and I just never looked back in terms of going into space. Maybe it was the Challenger
Incident.
incident, we'll just
Yeah.
say. Oh man, I didn't want to get this podcast to get all morbid, but yeah, it probably scared me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now and going through this list, honestly, I've always been super clumsy my entire life. And so my current imaginary friend probably would be Keith. And the amount I trip a lot of the time, honestly. Maybe not full on, like flat on my face, like the dad in this movie, played by John Krasinski. But like I'm tripping all over the place. I'm a very clumsy person a lot of the time.
Did you like the running gag of what do you call that? Cal always tripping over Keith because he
Yeah,
was
I
invisible.
liked it. I like that. It wasn't like I don't.
Who makes an invisible imaginary friend?
And it was apparently her dad.
Yeah.
So and what I like, I don't know if this is true. IMDb just lists Keith as Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I
man.
don't know, Deadpool. He
Deadpool.
was
Yeah.
so he's been invisible before.
That was my first thought as soon as I saw Brad. I was like, wait, Keith did I was like, Keith didn't have any speaking parts. I like the inside joke.
Yeah,
I'm glad both of us got it right away.
yeah.
If I had to guess, mine would be like kind of a basic one.
Hmm.
I'm sure you could probably guess, but my adult imaginary friend would be Blue because one, Steve Carell
Yeah,
voicing.
there you go.
Two, you saw how. I mean, well, I was surprised he didn't actually say Blue because I mean the character's name was Jeremy.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
But
true.
obviously his connection was through croissants, and I love croissant. I'm on a
Mm.
croissant like phase right now. Like you say croissants, I'll be like, ooh, what kind?
I
And
think I thought of you when the croissant thing came up, and about the place in SF that you've been going to.
yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to branch out a little bit too. Try not to be a croissant snob. Uh,
Hmm.
especially now that I don't have you just off topic, but have you seen there's now starting to merge cookies and croissants?
I have not seen that.
A cookie
Uh-oh.
croissant? Yeah. We'll talk
Sounds
more
sweet.
offline on that. Yeah. I'm kind of curious about that. I've never had it, but I'm starting to see it more and more on Instagram.
Hmm, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, for my half a double feature, I'm bringing back a oldie but a goodie, Binge or Cringe. Because this movie, I honestly, for this movie, there were some high points and some low points for me, just in terms of expectations, I feel like. there are points where it made me like, oh, this is like a tear jerk moment, and other
Hmm.
times it's like I could like care less. So I wanted to know, you could pick either one that you want to mention. You could pick a binge worthy moment or a cringe worthy moment.
I'll pick at some low hanging fruit,
Okay.
even though they were kind of already obviously laying down the breadcrumbs throughout the movie, the very end. Uh, well, near the end, I should say. The climax of the third act, uh, where B essentially is fearing the loss of John Krasinski, her dad,
Yeah.
when she already lost her mom. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was fighting like not like shedding any tears in the
Mm-hmm.
theater. I was not ready for that scene,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god, no! Is this where I start to lose it?" And I get like I watched it on a Sunday, opening weekend, and what do you call that? My theater was like about halfway filled, but I was hearing some sniffles for sure. And so I think people were um, affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like it almost got me. It reminded me of the end of Coco. I won't give any spoilers for that movie, but it's pretty sad too. But yeah, I think just the slow burn of, obviously we see in the beginning montage her mom and her dad and young B like kind of enjoying all those memories on like video camera and everything, old video
Mm-hmm.
footage. And then we eventually see that she's, the mom's gone and dad's now in the hospital, and we kind of put it in a like this whole imaginary friend thing is at the forefront, and then we put the fact that John Krasinski's character is in the hospital kind of in the back burner. It's always kind of there, but then
It's like it's something's gonna happen.
something's gonna happen, and they had us for a sec, and I think they did that really well.
Yeah, I felt like all the scenes with John Krasinski were done really well. I
I
mean, is
think
he
so.
favoring himself in that way because he directed this movie? But I agree. That scene was really well done. I'm not gonna lie that if it didn't get to me, at least a little bit, but I was watching it and getting a little emotional, and then I realized I'm here watching a movie, a PG movie, and there are other like kids around me, and here I am, a grown adult man with a popcorn and a beer. And like about to like shed a tear. I'm like, nah, not today. I think I'm good. And so
Oh
I'm not
shoot.
gonna lie though, that was a good scene.
Oh my god. Random aside, the because you mentioned the popcorn and a beer. Oh my god, there's the best one that I remember seeing where people were just losing it
Hmm.
in terms of emotions was the end of Titanic. I'm sure you know which scene. But I
Yeah.
remember early on in the movie, there was this dude that literally brought all the snacks, large popcorn, candy, yeah, everything.
Hmm.
In some of the most quiet sounds, like he pops a soda like can or whatever. He
Yeah.
one of those guys. I was like,
Yep.
man, I thought it was funny at the time because I was young, but when all this stuff was happening with the Titanic and everything, dude, that dude was balling. and that was
Really?
my and that was my first thought. I was like, dude, is this where Jeremy's going? Was he that guy?
Yeah, maybe in the future, man. I mean, that's the Titanic, though. You
Yeah,
know, I'm like, this is a kids movie. Well, not really a kids movie. I think that's
yeah.
one thing I have to commend this movie for. It's much more. It treats its audience much more mature than initially I thought it was going to. Like I thought it was just gonna be all flashy and colors and,
Hmm.
but it's surprisingly slower paced
Yeah,
for like treating its audience, very dialogue heavy,
agreed.
maybe to the detriment to its
Yeah,
audience. So that's where I'm gonna go cringe a little bit
Mm.
in terms of. Okay, this is not super cringe. This is for okay nitpick first, not really cringe. Um, I thought the dad should have died. It's like that's just my like John Krasinski. I was like, is he gonna kill himself off again? Oh well, I don't want
Oh.
spoilers
For The
for
Office? I'm just
for
kidding.
yes, it's for The Office. Um, I'm just gonna say, John Krasinski directed A Quiet Place, and let's just say he didn't make it through that entire movie, and so I thought he was gonna play that card again for himself, which I wouldn't have been mad at.
Yeah.
Um, Even though I would have saw it coming from a mile away, so it was more surprising to see him actually live for me. But I don't know. You know me. A good death is in a movie can always like flip that side.
It would have hit more. I was a little kind of relieved, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I don't know if I could have taken it when they just kind of said, "Oh, he's okay,"
Yeah,
essentially. Uh I think if maybe they would have, I don't know, split the difference. Maybe he's got some sort of terminal illness, and he didn't necessarily die right then and there. Ended with him being sick. I don't know. Well, we'll see.
yeah.
They chose for the happy ending.
They did. So in a way, I get it. I was like, okay, a reminder: this is a kids movie. We're not
Family
gonna kill
family
both.
friendly movie.
Yeah, family friendly movie. We're not gonna kill both the mom and dad. One at the beginning and one at the end. It's like, well, now you just have your grandma. Which honestly, they did her storyline pretty well, the grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if I want to throw some positives out there, but for cringe for me, um, I think when they started doing the reuniting the ifs with their grown up counterparts, I think that mission felt kind of like, what does that mean when they start glowing and all, I know that makes them feel fuzzy and like confident to do whatever they need to do in their adult life, but what do they see like as an adult? Imagine seeing, for example, if you're an adult and you saw blue, I would kind of start freaking out. Like if I can actually see him compared to in the movie, it looked like the character Jeremy, right? Is uh, he could just feel his presence.
Yeah.
Compared to the very end of the movie, the adults can see their ifs. So
Hmm.
I felt kind of weird about that. I like the whole I'm gonna get like a foster's care thing, where they're gonna link with new kids.
Yeah, the beginning of the mission.
Yeah, the beginning of the mission. But now they audibled into pretty much finding their old,
The
you
the
know,
original the
the
original
original
kid.
kid. But then what happens after that? They just go back to the retirement home. It's like just one
Mm.
30-second meet and then they're gone. So that was my kind of cringe, I
I
guess.
think it's meant, and I think it's hard to kind of convey the connection part. Obviously, they try to do the whole glowy thing and actually, locking eyes. I think it's really the way I interpret it. I think it's meant to be more of a okay, when you need your imaginary friend, it's there when you have that connection.
Mm.
I don't think it's meant to be like, oh, you actually physically see him, because that'd be weird. It's like, oh, I start to see Calvin as a clown now.
But the grandma like turned to what's her name? Crap.
A Blossom.
Blossom. Yeah, she turned to Blossom at the end before the title screen,
Yeah,
right?
I think it
And
was meant for presentation. That's just me, just overlooking some nitpicks. I think.
okay. I mean, that's
Uh,
not like the biggest
yeah,
negative of the movie. I think there's just my overall negative. It like that you'll hear that in the real review, but that was
right.
kind of just like, oh, a nitpick.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've seen that nitpick actually in on IMDb.
Oh, really? Shoot. I didn't know that.
Just minor stuff like that. Others like, oh, wasn't funny enough. I was like, wait, this is more to be a feel good movie. Why are we trying to make jokes? Uh, anyway, uh, you could tell that I probably tend to steer more towards the positive in this movie. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think let's go ahead and segment right into one of our new segments called The Dailies. The Dailies is where we talk about some raw, I guess, thoughts on this movie, just random ones that just kind of come up. Jeremy, I'll give you first dibs. Do you got any random dailies for If?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the positive. I feel like the kid Benjamin, the Asian kid in the hospital, completely stole the show. It's like when every time he would pop up, it's like, dang, this kid's just like, what are you, Ryan Reynolds in this movie? Like, what's happening?
He had a lot of riz. He had a lot of charisma.
Yeah, it's just like he was a breath of fresh air in terms of like the vibe of the movie.
Okay, I'm going to say I don't know. It might not make sense one or the. I could see what they were trying to do with B, the main character. Obviously, we see this movie through her eyes, through her lenses, and I'll use that to support what you just said. At times, it seemed like B seemed a little robotic, but I want to say it's because her character's meant to feel a little melancholy, and she's trying to get out of her rut.
Mm-hmm.
You see that she's in a rut. Compared, like from her introduction as what 12-year-old, from that, and then obviously before that, when you see the opening montage when she's younger, she's got a whole lot of energy. You know, she's having the time of her life with her folks, and she's meant to kind of be at that point in time where she's trying to, she's going through it and,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So I get it. Like, I'm sure John Krasinski had her play, okay, be melancholy. And now you're feeling a little motivated now because, you got some sort of motivation to, uh, I don't know, you got this mission. What was her project or job that she was talking about
I think
reconnecting imaginary friends with their originals or finding imaginary friends. So
yeah.
you can kind of see her emotions, so that when now we meet Benjamin, she's melancholy, but he's more, oh, well, I'm in the hospital, and like he's just a breath of fresh air. I think he's meant to kind of be that, I don't know, polar opposite, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Inject a little bit of life into this.
Yeah, I actually I like the character of B. Like I got it right away what they were going for
Mm-hmm.
in terms of um almost like a traumatized she's a traumatized kid, right? She basically
Yeah.
she lost her mom early on and now her dad is sick and she's dealing with uh the possible future of what that might entail. So I actually like that direction of how they handled that character and the story. Sometimes the pacing, I guess, of the overall story was a little slow for me.
Right.
Didn't have I actually liked the direction they went with the character.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of those kind of maybe 90s or early 2000 movies where, for example, I think The Bridge to Terabithia is a movie, live action, where it's like these kids are have dark pasts, and it's technically a family friendly kids movie, but in the movie, the girl ends up going missing, and but in actuality, if you're an adult watching, it's just like, oh shoot, she died. But there's this whole barrier that kids make to kind of cope with everything. I felt like was this movie, right? She's basically
Mm.
reliving her ifs and seeing ifs to kind of cope with uh, her experience with her dad. So I actually like the premise of that
Mm-hmm.
for this movie.
Agreed. I see what they were trying to do with B, the character, and she was basically our avatar for being able to be introduced to all these different ifs, because then we got to see that little journey, and like we get to see the reunification of various ifs with their original kids. So um I have one for you.
Hmm.
Did Were you surprised that Calvin was B's if?
No. What do you
Okay.
call it? Yeah, like basically I had that in my notes too, where it's like I saw the twist for Cal since the beginning. Literally,
Mm,
I when they were going through the little montage of her as a little kid and she had that picture and I saw the clown, I was like, "Hey,
uh-huh.
that's Ryan Reynolds."
Oh, you made the connection there. I was a little slow, man.
It's all good. I was like, "Oh, that's probably Ryan Reynolds." And
Yeah.
then
It was the bookmark, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so when that kind of confirmed it once she started like having her first conversation and Cal was going around with her
Mm,
and no one was
was
acknowledging him.
acknowledging him. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, he's an F, even though he's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. I think I was really slow in that. I think it was like super obvious when they were doing the if auditions,
Mm-hmm.
when they were trying to see what their strengths and who they can kind of line up certain kids with based off of their personal needs.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that weird thing with the whole book or something. It was like synchronized. I was like, oh dang. And then after that I was like, huh, I'm sure they dropped breadcrumbs before that. I just didn't pick up on. So I was
See,
like, damn it. I, I'm sure when I watch it a second time, I'll be like, damn it. I mean, obviously,
yeah,
you just mentioned the first one, and I'm like, you're right. Dang it, I wasn't
yeah.
paying attention.
No, it's all good. I half expected, that reveal at the end when B run or is finds the room
Hmm.
where Cal usually lives empty, and then she eventually comes back, and then he's there with all the other ifs.
Hmm.
Like when
Like
he,
Titanic? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
kidding.
Um, like, and remember he like stuck out his hand. What was he holding again? I
Wait,
forgot. He was, or was it just his hand? Like
I
there
don't
was that
remember.
reveal that she saw again, but and then it had that wide shot of Ryan Reynolds, Cal, and then all the other ifs. I almost half expected him to be in like a full clown costume, which I would
Oh,
have like been cracking up if they did that. Luckily, it did. They didn't do that.
yeah. I think that would have just looked too goofy. They
Yeah,
probably thought about it. I'm sure they just didn't want it to look just ridiculous.
yeah. I half expected also a Green Lantern reference, but it's it's John
Yeah.
Krasinski's movie, not Ryan Reynolds.
The closest we got was Brad Pitt as
Yeah,
Keith.
there you go. I don't even know if that's real, man.
I know. I feel like someone just added that on IMDb just for the hell of it.
And they're just gonna keep it there.
Well, I mean, speaking of some of these famous voice actors, like I don't know, did you check out the list beforehand
Uh,
or?
I remember recognizing some of the voices while watching,
Mm,
like George Clooney and Keegan Michael Key.
oh yeah, with the
Yeah.
booger. What was his name?
Shoot, where is he? What
He
the
was
where's Keegan?
Slime.
Slime. Yep.
Uh, was there anyone where you looked after the fact and were like, "Oh shoot, I didn't realize that was whoever."
Probably Guardian Dog. I didn't know that was Sam Rockwell, the little superhero dog guy.
Yeah, was the superhero dog dancing.
See, I almost thought that that was Bradley Cooper, because it sounded like Rocket sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
So I thought it was Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper was Ice.
Oh, shoot. I guess I would get them mixed up.
Yeah, maybe there was so many. I didn't realize there were that many. Basically, all the ifs had like very well known,
A-listers.
yeah,
Yeah.
A-listers. I somehow miss Aquafina as Bubble.
Oh, I think I could kind of recognize it. Like if I think about it, I can hear it.
Yeah. Well, now that I know what the A-list
Yeah.
cast kind of looks like now I kind of want to rewatch it whenever it comes back on streaming. Uh, just to,
Yeah.
I don't know, just to listen to everyone because even Bill Hader's in this movie. Well, I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Banana. You're
And
freaking
Matt Damon.
everybody out. Yeah, Matt Damon. I don't remember Matt Damon in this.
He was the guy who was leading that group, like the sunflower looking guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
He was one of the few that I actually did recognize.
Leading, he's the Captain America of that group.
Yeah, pretty much. Was there any other dailies that you wanted to mention before we
They,
get into the next segment?
yeah, they. I don't know if this if the opening reminded you of Up.
It did.
Okay,
It
at least
did.
I'm not the
I
only
mean,
one.
less impactful,
Yeah,
but I feel like nothing is touching up in terms of
yeah,
that opening montage
that's a
and
high
the
bar.
feels. That's the highest bar. It's like
Yeah.
God tier.
If you can open up your movie like Up, then that's that's insane.
Honestly, I don't know how I watched the rest of that movie. It was such an emotional roller coaster for those first 10 minutes, however
Yeah,
that long that lasted.
probably less than that.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. And the
that
music,
opening is pretty fast.
that music was so good.
Oh, speaking of the music, though, the music in this movie is actually pretty good too.
Yeah, Michael Giacchino, man.
Yeah, the Batman.
Dun, dun, dun. No, just kidding. But yeah, I'll mention that a little bit in this next segment on when it's my
Okay.
turn. And this segment's called The Real Review. Jeremy, go ahead and give yours.
Okay, so my real review didn't write this one down, so whatever. um, shoot. Okay, so for me, I was pleasantly surprised that it treats its audience much more mature than I expected. Not just treating us like we're little toddlers or even kids that are 12, 8 years old, like they're 4 years old. So I'm very happy that John Krasinski and the team treated its audience like actual people. Um, but almost to its detriment sometimes. Sometimes I wanted more of that flash and the little magic that was kind of promised in the theater, in the trailer, I should say. Like that one sequence where it's that musical sequence, I really like that. For some reason, I wanted more of that energy when B was going around um, with the ifs. That being said, I still think that there's plenty of heart wrenching moments in this movie. It just takes some time to get there. So I'm going to give If a 1770 out of 3,000, a 59%.
Ooh, that's a little lower than I thought you would go.
Yeah.
Less than fresh. It's like
Just
almost
slightly.
there. And
Yeah,
then
almost. Like a bubble.
yeah, it was starting to look a little pruny.
It honestly, this movie started off when I ended the movie, probably like a 70 or something. But the more I thought about it, I was like, it's getting lower and lower. I'm kind of forgetting what happened in the movie.
Mm.
So I felt like maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought.
Oh, interesting. I didn't mention it in my real review. You'll see. I actually like the slow burn part.
Hmm.
Uh, I think we were talking about Monkey Man, about slow burns,
Yeah.
and I felt like the emotional payoff was there for me anyway. Probably should have mentioned it in my real review. That's what I get for writing it 5 minutes before we go live.
It's all good, man.
Oh man, we should probably talk before, and then that way I could write the real review like right after that.
There you go. That
Something to
might
think
work.
about for future
Yeah.
live streams. Anyway, for my real review, I'll try to get this without too many sniffles. Nostalgia can be a powerful feeling. The day I screened If just happened to be a day where I screened something else from my childhood. Well, stay tuned for part 2 of this live stream. And maybe because of that, If just hit me right in the feels. Yes, If stars Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, and an all-star cast of voice actors such as Steve Carell, Matt Damon, Louis Gossett Jr., etc., etc. But the heart of this movie centers around Kaylee Fleming, who does an admirable job playing the central lead, B. I'm sure I'm not the first and probably won't be the last to, I guess, compare If with it being like a live action Pixar movie. But would I categorize it amongst the absolute best of what Pixar has to offer, like the Toy Story franchise, Inside Out, Up, or Coco? Probably not. But I did enjoy this movie for what it was, and that third act almost managed to have me squeeze a tear from these old poopy brown eyes. On the I Love You 3000 scale, I'm giving it a thumbs up. And I'm giving it a 2190 out of 3000, which is 73%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Decent score.
This is decent. Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it. I think if it would have felt flat, I think it would have been lower than your 59 if it didn't land the plane.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get it. It's like that's where I thought I would like when I went out of the theater. I was like, I'll probably give it like a 70.
Yeah.
It just hasn't stuck with me since I watched it. I think is the main thing.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
because I did hear some sniffles and I myself almost sniffled.
I mean, I'm not.
Um,
Yeah, I almost did. It's just holding me back.
yeah, no, I hear it. It really is a family friendly movie. I think depending on kind of where you're at, I think is how you're going to like this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll share what I watched before this. I did essentially a double feature on the day that I screened If, and so moving on to the rest of this episode, though, Jeremy,
Mm-hmm.
let's get some competition going.
All
Let's
right.
guess the Rotten Tomato score for If. So this season, our current score, Jeremy's been holding this 2-point lead for how I don't know, for seems like forever because we keep tying. We've only covered how many movies? Probably like 7 or 8. I don't even know. I've lost count
Yeah.
already.
It's been a
But
while.
we've doled out 14 points because we keep tying. Our current score for season 7 is 8-6. Jeremy's up. So, Jeremy, what are you guessing for the Rotten Tomato score for If?
Okay, I am guessing an 81%.
Ooh, that's a
You know,
pretty big spread between
yeah.
your real
My
review and your guess.
yeah, because I feel like I would, even though I gave it a low score for my real review, I could see this movie as I would gladly like show my kids this movie where
Yeah.
they're not just like, oh, like turn off their brain movie, but it's still like a kids movie.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
My guess is the exact opposite of yours. You had a big spread between your real review and your actual guess. Mine was only off by 1 point.
Oh,
My Rotten Tomato score guess is 74%.
74%. Okay, so I have the score here for Rotten Tomatoes. You guessed 74, and I guessed 81, and the score is
Whoa!
48% with
Goodness!
169 reviews.
I didn't think it was that bad. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
it wasn't that bad. honestly, see, that's why I thought it was like 81 because it felt very honestly. The movie looked really good,
It did.
right? Like um, John Krasinski's direction, his vision of the movie, I thought looked really good. So that's what I thought. It was like 81,
48. Wow.
48.
I got a lot of people that are just
Oh,
disenfranchised, I guess. They're
I
not
know.
in the mood to be nostalgic at
What's the
all.
consensus? A sweet ode to rediscovering one's inner child. Can you see this? I forgot.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah, okay,
can see
good.
that. Yeah.
Hopefully I do try. Okay, I
Uh,
guess.
I mean, they kind of reiterated a little bit of what you were saying about how, like, in the middle of the movie, kind of goes
Oh
on
yeah,
these
huh?
tangents, I guess, unfocused and unnecessarily complicated plot.
I guess so.
But I think
I
that, I don't know, for me, the way I saw it was that they're trying to figure it out, like, in terms of the whole if dynamic,
yeah.
whether they can kind of repurpose these current ifs into new kids that
Mm-hmm.
don't have ifs, or if that won't, obviously they discover it doesn't work and they gotta reunite with their original kids. So.
Yeah, maybe I do agree with the critics, I guess, but not to that extent, right?
Yeah.
But I think I would have had like, okay, stick with the original mission
Mm.
and like have I wouldn't have gone that road for that objective. Yeah.
Wow, but 48%, that was really low. Even though I don't agree with it, turns out it was in my favor. Took the point.
You did take the point.
I think this is the first week that you didn't get any points in like freaking 2 or 3 months, it seems like.
I think
So
so.
you were on that hot streak. But current score, we've tightened it up a little bit. We've cut the lead in half. It's now 8-7 heading into next week. And speaking of next week, what are we covering?
Yeah, next week we are going to be watching a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. So that's going to be the origin story of the warrior Furiosa before she meets Mad Max in Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So I just said Furiosa and Mad Max like a ton right there. Because I was trying not to spoil myself again. So I'm glad IMDb didn't spoil me this time. It's like, okay, thank goodness. It's a prequel to Mad Max.
This title reminds me of Glass Onion,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Knives Out thing, and I just wanted to mention that because I don't know if you saw, this is kind of random, but they're about to make a third one.
Oh, Glass
Knives
Knives Out.
Out. Yeah, they're making
Huh?
a third Knives Out.
Are
So
they going to call it a Glass Onion story?
no, it's actually, I think, related to, I didn't do full research on it, but someone in the comments related it to a U2 song. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
actually accurate or not. I have to fact check that, so take that with a grain of salt. But it might be similar to how Glass Onion was based off of a Beatles song.
Oh. See, I like if it was just called Furiosa and nothing after that. Like,
Right.
just
Same
leave it.
with a glass onion. If it was just Glass Onion, I would have been, I guess, better with that instead of a whole Knife's Tale mystery or whatever they called it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nitpicks. If the movie's good, it's good.
Yeah, but yes, Furiosa Mad Max Sagas. I mean, we're live streaming right now on a Friday, a rare Friday. I don't think we've ever done a Friday recording or live stream,
Hmm.
but it's out now. So go watch it now so that you can join the conversation next Wednesday, which is May 29th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Me too.
speaking of live streams, Jeremy, where can they watch our live streams of Furiosa and future episodes?
So if you're not already watching us live, you can always find our live streams and the recordings and all that stuff on YouTube. And that's going to be the Weekly Reel podcast on YouTube. And so
Yes.
go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell notification to make sure that you figure out the time, whether it's 7:30, Pacific time or 7:45 Pacific time. It could change. So definitely make that notification, that bell to
7:45.
over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
7:45, right?
No, quarter to 8. Quarter to
Okay.
8. Yeah. But yeah. Subscribe to that YouTube channel of ours. We need the subscribers. We would love to be able to interact with you guys. On Instagram, follow us at Weekly Reel. There we have clips from our main live stream show on whatever movie that we're covering on a given week. We also put links to our YouTube full episodes, as well as our audio podcast links, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., etc. Also, follow us on TikTok at Weekly Reel Pod. There we have our real reviews, and most of all, I think the thing that I'm most proud of on the TikTok is our soup du jour edited videos, because they, I try to spice them up just a little bit, just to kind of give a little bit more of a visual representation to what we have going on right here and there. So, I mean, if we could do live graphics, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that
But
would be cool.
that would be pretty cool. I mean, we'd have to hire someone, but we have no money.
Yeah, so subscribe.
So subscribe and hey, sponsor us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like HBO, or not HBO, sorry, Max. I keep forgetting.
Max, so that you can watch Mad Max Fury Road on there before you watch
Exactly.
Furiosa.
I know, we're unfortunately still not sponsored, but hey, Max, come on, do
There
your
you go.
thing. Oh man, but yes, at Weekly Reel Pod is where we put those TikToks. But Jeremy, you know what? This is just part 1 of this live stream. We do have a part 2. So if you're on this live stream now, stay tuned for part 2. We will be talking about Ryan Reynolds, and we will be revealing our top 5 Ryan Reynolds movies. If you are checking us out on your favorite podcast app, or basically the full episode on YouTube, just want to remind everyone that to check out last week's episode 120, which was on The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy, unfortunately, did not do well in the box office. So not only is it still in movie theaters, but it's out, available to rent.
That's insane.
On digital right now. So you can watch it at home. There's no excuse to not watch The Fall Guy. You can rent it at the comfort of your own home. I think it's available on Apple, Amazon, wherever you rent movies. Rent that now, watch it, then check out episode 120. That's available now on YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast app. And then, as Jeremy mentioned just now, Furiosa, Mad Max Saga is currently out in theaters. And check out next week's live stream on May 29th. And so again, for those of you hang tight on the live stream, part 2's coming your way. But for everyone else, we'll see you next week on The Reel.
Okay, welcome to part two of tonight's live stream. It is the soup du jour.
What's the soup du jour?
Well, Ken, it's the soup of the day.
Mmm, that sounds good. I'll have that.
Well, we have a good one for you tonight because it's another Ryan soup tonight. It's
That
gonna
sounds
be,
gross.
I know, right? Now that I think about it. Last time we talked about Ryan Gosling movies. Tonight we're talking top 5 Ryan Reynolds films. So, Ken, first, everyone watching should let us know, right? Leave down in the comments your favorite Ryan Reynolds movies. Make a top 5, top 3, whatever. Just start calling them all out. But Ken, I'll give you first dibs on your favorite Ryan Reynolds movies, or which ones have you seen? I guess.
I was a little light in the cakes when it came to this Ryan Reynolds films top 5. So I'm going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel on this one, and you'll kind of see. But number 1 is Deadpool and Wolverine. No, I'm just kidding. It's a movie from the future.
From the future, yeah. You've seen it
Shoot.
already. Got advanced.
I have. You know why? Because I stole something from cable.
There you
So
go. Thanos.
Thanos. All right. My top 5 Ryan Reynolds films list starts with an honorable mention. This is not really an honorable mention for the movie itself because I thought the movie kind of sucked. Because we covered it in I forget whatever season it was in the Weekly Reel podcast, but I'm going to mention Red Notice
There you
only
go.
because Nolan Booth, played by Ryan Reynolds, carried that movie. He was actually the only good thing about that movie. He was, I don't know, I felt like Dwayne Johnson and Gal Gadot, was just very awkward, like their whole dynamic. I mean, when you watch it on Netflix, you'll see why it was a Netflix movie and not an actual theater experience. I mean, even though it got a limited release, didn't it?
But I agree with you to a certain degree. I think I like that movie more than you did,
Yeah.
but Ryan Reynolds played a better Nathan Drake than Tom Holland for in Uncharted,
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
where's the jokey Nathan Drake I want? And then it's like, oh, there he is. He's in a different movie.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds, I forget how good he was as Nolan Booth in Red Notice. So that is my honorable mention. So top 5 now. I have this at number 5 only because he was really only a glorified cameo. Number 5 is Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. I wasn't really
Wow,
paying
really
attention to
scraping the
that.
bottom
Yeah,
bottom of the barrel.
I prefaced my list, all right.
Okay. It's like, you know how I feel about Fast and Furious.
You know, this one was actually one of the better Fast and the
That's
Furious
true.
movies
That's
overall. And I'm
Okay.
not the biggest fan of The Rock as an actor because he literally plays himself all the time. But I don't know if it was because I wasn't really paying attention to the cast or whatever. I was genuinely surprised when Ryan Reynolds showed up, and he was really good in that movie. Obviously, he just plays himself. He basically plays Wade Wilson
Pretty much.
in the Fast and the Furious universe. But I enjoyed his character, and it was a nice breath of fresh air. Even though I don't think it really even needed it. I thought Hobbs and Shaw was actually pretty funny in terms of its dynamic, especially considering it was coming off the heels of Fate of the Furious, and that was arguably the worst one. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4, if we just talked about that movie, again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. I actually did like this movie. You'll see how much in part 1. I keep saying that in all these top 5 episodes. I mean, I should know. I edit these episodes on TikTok. But I thought it was pretty well done. He obviously was more of a side character in this movie, but he played his character very well. I won't give any spoilers. That was for part 1. Check that out. Number 3, Deadpool 2. I didn't want to have two Deadpool movies as my top two. So, I only have this at number 3 only because I've only seen it the one time. I will be doing a rewatch heading
Oh.
into Deadpool and Wolverine. So Deadpool 2 is number 3 for me. Here's my hot take. I don't know if you've seen this movie. Number 2, I have Free Guy.
I
I
have
didn't
seen
ex-
this movie.
I didn't expect that movie to be as heavy hitting as it
Mm.
was. I enjoyed it very much so, and it was it was a surprise to me how much depth it had. So I enjoyed Free Guy. I thought it was just going to be a stupid Ryan Reynolds movie, but I really enjoyed Free Guy, and so number 1, to no one's surprise, until July of 2024, I have
There you go.
Deadpool at number 1. Uh, This is the movie that put Ryan Reynolds really on my radar. I was always a hater of Ryan Reynolds. I was like, he's a little overrated.
Mm.
But the second he was kind of dancing off the side of was the railing of the overpass, and he was dancing to Salt and Pepper, he had me as a fan.
There you go. Shoot. Okay. That's a good list considering you haven't seen too many of his movies and your number 5 was literally a cameo. um
Scraping the bottom of the barrel. That should be the title of my TikTok.
yeah, there you go.
You know what? Your list will be obviously more legit than mine because I'm sure you've seen way more Ryan
Well,
Reynolds movies than I have.
just a little bit more, but right now I do want to mention Sean is in the house right now. He made it to the soup, and sorry, Sean, my list does not have Hitman's Bodyguard and all that stuff or the sequel because I haven't seen it yet, so I can't put it on there. Sorry, I know it's gonna be on your list, so go ahead and make your list, and I'll read it out a little bit later. But my honorable mention, you mentioned Free Guy already. I'm gonna say Waiting. So this is kind of a low key early 2000s Ryan Reynolds movie when he hasn't blown up yet. This is I think even pre The Proposal. And so this is but his comedy there is very much still Deadpool-esque. Stars Justin Long in it. It's just about this team of waiters pretty much that get into like hijinks running a restaurant. And if you've ever dealt with people in a workplace, I think this is, it's a movie that you could relate with for sure. So pretty much anybody. So that's my honorable mention. My number 5. I'm going with The Proposal.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going The Proposal just because it's a rom-com it's pretty rewatchable. It's good if you can watch it in groups. I don't know if I like um I don't know if I would watch it by myself or anything like that.
Stop
Just for
lying.
fun. I mean, yeah, probably. But yeah, number 5, The Proposal. Him and Sandra Bullock. It's always good. It's a fun time.
I will admit, that's on my to-do list. I've kind of wanted to watch that movie.
Are you serious? You haven't seen
I
that
haven't
movie?
seen it. That's why it's not on
Oh,
my list.
shoot. Because I remember
Um,
we were watching it one night. You were making grilled cheese
yeah,
for everyone while they were watching The Proposal. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that because it
Yeah.
was Valentine's Day, and I was
So
like, I ended up volunteering to make Obviously, if I'm making grilled cheese, I'm not really watching. So,
yeah, you were
um,
playing chef in that moment,
I was
literally.
I know in my head I was doing the whole. I was listening to the chef music while he was making that grilled cheese.
There you go.
But sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. My number 4 is Safe House with Denzel Washington. I think it's. I think it came out 2011. And my story for this movie, it's not the greatest movie of all time, but the when I watched it, it felt like awesome. I
Mm.
watched I did a double feature. I watched Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance
Wow.
first. So jumping from that movie into Safe House in 2012, I think it was. Um, I remember I watched it in Redwood City, and going from that movie into Safe House made Safe House feel like the greatest like action movie of all time. And I love Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance in a guilty pleasure type of way. But Safe House is I think underrated in my opinion for a Ryan Reynolds movie.
So what you're saying, this was the original Barbenheimer in your universe.
Yeah. Yes. It was Ryan Reynolds and Nicolas Cage. My number 3 is kind of it's anxiety inducing. It's Buried. I've been wanting to show you this movie, I think, since season 1.
Ooh.
It's been on my list. It's pretty much Ryan Reynolds buried underground, and he has to find some way to survive. It's like everyone's horror story of a like nightmare, pretty much. My number 2 might be a surprise. It is Deadpool, the first Deadpool.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, at number 2, and my number 1. Of course, I've been saving it. Green Lantern, 2011. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. We're going Deadpool 2. I actually like the production value of Deadpool 2 is like so much higher than Deadpool 1. Not saying I think I prefer the simple story of Deadpool 1, but the action and just the overall like kind of vibe
Mm.
and Cable, um I don't know. I just like that's such a good like kind of buddy cop and X-Force.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, Brad Pitt's in it. You know, you can't beat it.
yeah. Such a memorable appearance, quote
Yeah, like
unquote.
quote unquote for sure. So yeah, that's my list.
Oh my god, that was oh, it's pretty good. I was like, I was wondering if you were gonna toss in Green Lantern, and for a second there, you had me there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I know everyone trashes on Green Lantern, even Ryan Reynolds himself, but it's somewhat of a guilty pleasure for me.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. I hate the villain of that movie. That's the main thing I hate.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is, he's serviceable in that movie. So let's catch up on Sean's comments because we want to remind you that this section of where me and Ken interact with you, the audience, is now called The Simmer. And I'll create a banner for that later. uh Here, I'll make my way, Sean, with your most recent one. Let's pretend X-Men Origins Wolverine never existed. Dude,
I wanted to toss that as an honorable mention
dude,
because
I
I was
hella
scraping the bottom
forgot.
of the barrel.
Oh God. Honestly, he was the bright lights of that movie.
Yeah.
Like, until they showed his mouth shut, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and they obviously reference it in Deadpool 2 when he's doing the little katana sword play.
And I'm sure we're gonna hear from it in July.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Sean also says, ball knowledge with the Green Lantern. Sean, you have to let me know though. Do you like Green Lantern at all, or how do you feel about that? I'm curious. Um. Oh, his cameo from Bullet Train, I actually think was better than his cameo in the Fast and Furious.
I
Hobbs
was
and
thinking
Shaw.
about it, but I guess for whatever, even though Bullet Train was more recent, I don't know. I just remember the Hobbs and Shaw one.
Okay. I mean, in the Bullet Train, they basically just show his face. He
Yeah.
was Carver the whole
Yeah, I
time.
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was a good cameo.
That was a good cameo.
Sean's also surprisingly a fan of the Atom Project, which I haven't seen yet. Have you seen it?
That almost made number 5.
Oh,
I was thinking
shoot.
about it because I have seen it. Uh I went with the cameo instead. Sorry, Sean. I thought it was pretty good though.
I guess Sean, honorable mention, he did say is Green Lantern. I don't know if that was a joke or not. So let me know if it's
I want to say it was a joke.
okay. Sean, here's Sean's official top 5 that he cannot change for all of time until until July. So he's got number 5 Proposal, number 4 Free Guy, number 3 Hitman's Bodyguard. Okay. Deadpool 2 and then Deadpool 1 at number 1. Okay. I'm
Kind of a mixture
curious.
between our lists.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. I'm not angry with that.
Yeah,
Is the
because
Hitman's wife's bodyguard any good?
there's a second one.
Yeah, there's the second one.
What? I don't know. I was zoning in and out of the first one. Maybe I should actually try to sit down and watch it based off of Sean's recommendation. I guess give it a second try, but I couldn't
Okay.
finish. I couldn't finish the first one.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Sean said Green Lantern was so dead that pretty much made sure I was always be Team Marvel, not DC. Okay. I mean, fair enough. I mean, he met Blake Lively on that movie, right? So
Shots fired at DC.
I know. Would I be mad if he came back to be Hal Jordan? Not really.
Yeah,
Um,
he comes
yeah.
back in James Gunn's DCU.
I mean, yeah. It's always a possibility. You never know. James Gunn's a little crazy.
Yeah. Plus, you never know what they might do in the MCU with Deadpool. They might kill him off in this next one. Who knows?
Who knows, man? Heck, he could cameo as Green Lantern in Deadpool and Wolverine if DC let him. I think that would be pretty cool.
That is true because in the MCU there is a world where there's Superman and Batman. Didn't they
Yeah.
reference that in a recent IP? I forget which one.
They reference Superman in the Eternals.
There you go.
There you go. I don't know if anyone else would have remembered that, but
only
you know,
because we covered it in the podcast. That's the only reason why I remember it.
there you go. Well, Sean also says, I would have left the theater if you came back in the Flash movie. If that's what made you walk out, and not Ezra Miller, someone needs to think about the priorities. No, I'm just kidding. No, Ezra Miller, his performance was, fine in the Flash.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I think both of us, right? Like the Flash
hot takes.
Yeah,
hot takes. We both enjoyed the Flash.
Yeah, it's not the greatest movie of all time. It's still better than Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, it's not a very high bar that Ryan Reynolds set with the Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I pretty much killed Green Lantern for a while. So I want a good Green Lantern movie.
Is it going to be a movie or is it a TV show that I forget what that whole Gods and Monsters original announcement was with DCU? Wasn't there supposed to be a Deadpool? I mean, not Deadpool. Green Lantern project.
I think a TV show, possibly. I forgot.
Yeah.
But I think our first Green Lantern that we're gonna see is, in Superman.
You're right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
it's not gonna be Hal Jordan. I don't think it's gonna be shoot, what's his name? Crap. I was even just watching him like yesterday. The guy from The Rookie. He was in Firefly. He was in Castle. Crap. What's his name? He's in all James Gunn stuff. He was in Guardians 3. I'm just listing off his whole IMDb. Crap, I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, go.
God, how do I remember? Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. I just was watching him. Oh, okay. This is where you lose me, Sean. Six Underground was still decent. Okay, Ken, have you seen Six Underground?
I have not.
It's a Michael Bay movie
Oh. Ooh.
and made for Netflix,
Mm.
starring Ryan Reynolds and oh man,
Oh, I think I started it. Yeah, I fell asleep.
yeah, dude, that movie, I had high hopes for that movie. I was like, Michael Bay can make a watchable movie when he wants to. Unfortunately, Six Underground wasn't one of them.
So he basically just took a paycheck from Netflix, is what you're saying.
So Sean said John Stewart Green Lantern. No, I think it's gonna be the bowl cut Green Lantern. I forgot his name. So yeah, wrong Green Lantern. That would if Nathan Fillion was playing John Stewart, that would be that would be weird. Definitely not the right casting. But okay.
I'm trying to look it up as you talk.
Yeah, so Nathan Fillion, Green Lantern, I think is one of
Guy
the more
Gardner?
Guy Gardner, that's what it is. He had a bowl
Thank
cut at
goodness for
one point.
Google.
There you go. So I
Oh,
wonder what kind of hair he's gonna have.
speaking of just random DC stuff, have you
Yeah.
seen that one shot with Superman? The one shot that they get, where he's putting on his boots. Have you
Yep.
seen like the different memes of stuff going on in the background?
Yeah. I like for any DBZ fans, Goku and Vegeta fighting in the background.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is he's in Payless.
Yeah, that dude, you stole my thunder. That was my favorite one too. That
Because
one.
honestly, is it
Mm.
like, does it make me less excited for the movie? No.
Mhm.
Is it a bad picture? Yeah. I
It
like that's
is.
such a weird first image to come out with. Like, but everyone crapped on like the image of Ben Affleck standing in front of his Batmobile, and that was a pretty sick shot.
Yeah.
So, we'll see when the movie comes out. The movie could be crap. So, I'm learning my lesson to temper expectations, but also hold my criticism.
Here's my random theory. This is only in my head. I think he put that out there to kind of drop your expectations, so he's
Yeah,
gonna blow expectations out of the water.
there we go. It is such a weird freaking.
Yeah.
It's a weird shot. Like, why? What's going on in the background? I bet none of that is actually in the movie.
I think so too. I think it's like literally just some sort of weird test shot just to see if you can get a little bit of feedback from his toxic fan base.
I think so. I think in a way, this bad publicity is still like
It's
good.
publicity.
It's publicity, yeah.
Yeah.
Sean also says no mentions of R.I.P.D., the greatest movie of all time. Have not seen it. Have not heard anything good about it at all. So I don't know. I think that one's gonna be on the back burner for a while.
Oh man. Oh, Sean chimed in on our Superman photo.
Godzilla in the back with the Kenergy. Yeah. Perfect reference to also one of the movies we covered where
You know it.
where Sean mentioned, Godzilla got the Kenergy in that movie.
Can you feel the energy?
Superman putting on his boots like he's clocking in at 9 to 5. No, it's more like he's clocking out at 9 to 5. He looked a little rough in that.
Yeah, he did. He was like,
So
gosh, you just
I'm not going.
you gotta let the dogs breathe.
Yeah. It's like, dang. And it's like, why did I leave the farm? Where's Lana? I think like he's a young Superman, right? So it could still be Lana, but it's gonna be Lois in this movie.
Oh man, yeah. I wonder if we're gonna get the first what do you call it? First ever meet and greet with Lois and Clark,
See, I want it to be
or if it's in the middle of
okay.
their
Honestly,
dynamic.
I don't know if this is hot take,
Yeah.
I didn't feel the chemistry between Henry Cavill and Amy Adams.
Oh no, that's not a hot take at all.
Really? It's not?
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was manufactured. They tried to manufacture a little bit more in BVS too.
Yeah.
Uh, two as in TOO, not the second one. There was no BVS two, obviously. But yeah, I felt like they just tried to force a lot of it. And it was weird too because we keep talking about how the theatrical cut we barely got to see Superman, so all we got was the forced chemistry between the two.
That's true. Like their highest high was in Man of Steel, and even that was
It
like,
was not, yeah.
yeah. So I'm hoping Superman and Lois have that chemistry, and because, dude, in the cartoon that they've been coming out with now, My Adventures with Superman, heck, Superman and Lois.
Lois, yep.
So
Yep.
it's like if they can have chemistry in a cartoon and on TV, why not in the movies? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Just kind of a random aside since we were talking about Superman. I almost started Superman and Lois on my flight to Hawaii, but I couldn't get my headphones to connect to the thing. I didn't want to watch it
Oh,
with no audio and just subs. I
yeah,
thought it would have been really weird to just watch that, and I was like, "Damn it,
yeah, that would have been weird.
I'll save it." Yeah, but I was trying to find something to kind of watch, and it looked appealing at the time.
Yeah. I mean, if you feel like in the superhero mode, like honestly, right, we were kind of scarce on good superhero content.
Yeah,
Superman Lois, man. And
yeah.
this last season ended with a cliffhanger, so I'm hoping their fourth and final season will wrap up things nicely
Mm.
later this year, I think.
Sean
Hmm.
says Amy Adams,
Not my
not my
Lois.
Lois,
And then he
and
follows that up with Kate
Kate
Bosworth from
Bosworth.
Superman, which is my Lois right there. I think that's a hot take
That's a
right there.
very scalding hot take. Holy outs! Ooh.
Oh, I think I just burned my whole arm off. More
Ow.
like he burned. Okay, that is a hot take right there.
It was very
I'm
hot
not
take.
actually like Superman Returns more than most. um, Kate
Who is
Bosworth,
your Lois, Jeremy? I mean, you are more of a Superman connoisseur
dude.
than I currently am.
Smallville, probably Erica Durance,
Mm, okay.
right? I think like
I'm not mad at that.
she's probably given that. Like I like um
Margot
the
Kidder.
yeah the actor from Superman Lois also, but it's obviously like an older Lois, right, and older Superman. But when I picture like Lois and Clark, I think of Superman the animated series when they're like kind of in their prime,
Mm,
and the vibe that Erica Durance gave in Smallville, especially like later seasons too, like carried the later seasons.
mm.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel like her debut in season 4 gave that show a breath of fresh air.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In that, not that it needed it, but the first 3 seasons, they got progressively dark. you know,
Yeah.
Season 3 was probably the darkest out of the first 3 seasons, so that when she made her debut in season 4, it kind of freshened up the show a little bit in terms of being a little bit more of a. It
Back
kind
to
of brought us back
Smallville.
to season 1, yeah,
Yeah.
season 1 Smallville. But true Lois,
Oh.
true Lois is Terry Hatcher.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
guys. I know,
He's
I know,
going
it's a
with
little bit older. But we're going the adventures of what was it, Lois and Clark.
Yeah, there you go.
With Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. Look up Terry Hatcher in the mid '90s, and you'll know what I mean. I had
There
a
you go.
major crush on her in high school.
I mean,
You're welcome.
she gets first billing on that that on the title right there, Lois and Clark.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there you go.
So Terry Hatcher will forever be my Lois Lane.
There you go.
But I don't disagree with yours and Sean's take. Well, his last take anyway. Erica Durant is bae for sure. Even
There you
now,
go.
she's aged really well.
Yeah, see, Sean agrees. Damn, Terry Hatcher, fair play. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sean has Google. He probably looked her up.
Yeah, that and Terry Hatcher. I forget what she was in beforehand. Before and because I think right around that time I was like, "Ooh, who's this?" I had to look up her IMDb, well, whatever it was called at the
In
time.
encyclopedia.
The encyclopedia. Oh shoot, it was called Alta Vista back in the day, or Lycos,
There you go.
or when Yahoo was still known for its search engine.
All right, I think with on that note,
Oh
when
shoot.
we're talking about Yahoo, I think that's the time when we're gonna wrap up the live
The
show and the live stream.
simmer. Oh, but no, but we got something else, don't we?
Oh yes, almost, because we're gonna finish off with one last thing. Ken, what do you want to share for our audience for tonight? Or I guess it wouldn't be tonight if we're watching tomorrow morning, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, live
Whenever.
stream.
Yeah.
Our live stream audience is all who counts. No, I'm just kidding. Don't listen to me. It's the witching hour right now, and I'm hooked up on a lot of meds and cough drops and coffee. Oh my goodness, there's a lot going on right now. Still a little. I still got brain fog. Anyway, my one last thing. I alluded to it on my real review in part one. The one thing I saw, I was really the first half of my double feature this past Sunday was I caught the Transformers 40th anniversary event,
Oh,
which was shown at our local theater. Um, it was pretty amazing because this 40th anniversary event was based off of the fact that the Transformers cartoon debuted in 1984. And so what they did was they showed the very first 4 episodes of season 1 back to back to back to back. But especially that first episode, the pilot, they actually had the original voice actors, the ones that were still alive, and they had a mixture of, I guess, current voice actors kind of fill in for the ones that have been deceased since 1984. And so they actually had kind of like a split screen thing going on, and we got to see the actual episode, and then the voice actors kind of interacting. You got to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. You got to see, even before that, some of the early commercials and all that stuff, and then like kind of the impact that Transformers has had over the past 40 years. And I'm really glad that I just ended up having to pay just normal movie ticket prices, which was, I mean, it's kind of expensive nowadays, but I mean, it's just normal,
Mhm.
especially here in the Bay Area. But as a Transformers fan from way back in the 80s, yes, I'm that old, it brought back that nostalgia feels for me. And that's, I think, the reason why I was in that mode for If, when we were talking about kind of
Mm.
going back to your childhood. So in a weird way, it it was all about nostalgia that day. And so Transformers is 40 years old already. Holy crap. How old am I?
Well, yeah, they're coming out with that new Transformers 1 later this year on my one of my movies on my most anticipated list. So, man, that's pretty cool to watch that though.
Yeah.
The nostalgia is right there. For me, I'm watching random stuff, but was also I haven't rewatched it since it came out, and because it came out on Netflix just recently, The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. So yeah, that movie's pretty intense. You know, if those who want some like pretty good action, like fairly like simple story, I think the Accountant is will scratch that action genre itch. Because I also watched The Bricklayer, starring Aaron Eckhart. Very much, yeah, Rachel. Um, straight to DVD action, but that I was like, okay, that itch is almost scratched for action. So I'm watching the accountant. Now,
You watched it for nostalgia too, because that's who you were supposed to be, weren't
yeah,
you?
in a past life, I was Ben Affleck, with a doing the books and shooting 50 cals in a past life.
Oh, I'm just trying to bring back one last thing into a theme, so it's
Yeah,
nostalgia.
there you go, nostalgia right there. Okay, Ken, next
Woo.
week we're going to be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So that's going to be okay. That is next week for sure, right? I mess that up
Yes.
every time, every time.
Yes.
But yes, everyone, Sean, last question. Here we go. Our last comment for the night. Random movie I watched for no reason was Hidden Strike, John Cena and Jackie Chan. A
What?
Yeah, a duo I didn't know I needed. I watched maybe the first hour of that movie just because it had John Cena and Jackie Chan in it. It's a movie for sure. It's
It exists?
it exists. They're in a movie together. It's on Netflix. Hidden Strike. I haven't mentioned it ever before because I've never finished it. But let me know how that the rest of the movie goes, Sean. Not don't spoil it, but let me know if it's even worth finishing.
Oh shoot. Yeah,
That is
it
hella
just
random though.
it recently came out? What?
It was okay. This is weird.
2023.
I think it
Holy
was
crap.
shot like 8 years ago or something like that. Because if you watch the movie,
Oh.
John Cena is like pretty young, but they only released it like last year or
Oh,
something
so you
like
didn't
that.
have his bald spot yet, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he was still rocking like the short hair John Cena look. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, interesting. Oh, it's starting to grow on the poster.
Yeah, it was like almost there, right? It's like he didn't go into the Fast and Furious franchise yet. It was in in movie hell for a little bit.
Why does it look like he has a fro in the
It's weird, man. Yeah. It's like they try to update it. Well, we're gonna
Oh,
get a
shit.
little bit better action hopefully next week in Furiosa. But Ken, where can they find us also? I think next week. What time are we gonna be here?
Well, I think it's gonna be here on YouTube, right?
Yeah, on
But about like
YouTube.
it's actually a little less time because usually we're doing these live streams on a Wednesday,
Yeah.
but
Oh, that's
today's
true.
special Friday night live stream.
Yeah, so we technically can't make the joke.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh, dang it. I was like, okay. Well, we'll
we we can talk about. Oh, we'll see you in a work week because that's
yeah,
5 days.
there you go. We'll see you in 5 days, guys.
No,
Just make sure.
in a work week.
Yeah, yeah, in a work week. There you go.
Oh yeah, you're right. We can't do that joke. Damn it.
Okay, yeah. I think we ran the joke too long this stream. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next week for
Wednesday.
Furiosa and whatever topic that is next Wednesday. So we'll see you then on the real.